teeth and the importance of taking care of their mouth. It was a lot of fun, but they didn't really pay much attention until one day I was able to show them this book. It was written for kids, and it really was pretty hysterical. Back in the 1970s, there was no internet, there were no YouTube videos, there was nothing that we use today. But this book was unique in that it had really great pictures in it. And when you flipped the pages, it made it look like something was moving in the margin. And what this author did was took it where he had the bacteria that's in the mouth that contributes to mouth disease. And starting at the top, the bacteria would move. And by the bottom, it showed the bacteria peeing acid on the teeth and let the kids know that when they didn't brush their teeth or floss their teeth, that all the bacteria in the mouth was actually using their mouth as a bathroom to go on their teeth. Well, once I started using that book, you would not believe how much the kids were flossing and brushing their teeth. It was just great. So it impressed on me at a very early age in my dental career that I went on to do for over a decade, just how important it was to clean the mouth. But I never really knew the particulars of it at that time. But tonight, we're going to look at bacteroides gingivalis. This shows up in your reports when you're using your scanner. And I hope by the end of tonight's video that you have a new appreciation for brushing, flossing, and one other technique of keeping the mouth clean from this bacteria that I will share with you at the very end. So when we look at this, here's the list of what you will see when you're looking at your report. You will see bacteroides gingivalis and bacteroides intermedius, both of these. This is the report that's by term, and it's showing that those two bacteria that originate in the mouth are actually having an effect on 5 different areas of the body. Now, this is really important because this is where this particular bacteria that tends to live under the gum line in the mouth has a very big effect on the body. So here you can see bacteroides gingivalis. It's a bacteria associated with periodontitis and has been linked to systemic disease. This is where you start to get a hint of what goes on with this bacteria that you can see frequencies for in your scanner. It includes conditions like Alzheimer's, diabetes, heart disease, and inflammatory bowel disease. Now think of it. When you're scanning someone and you see that there are frequencies for this in their system, look at some of the things that you are able to influence if you can help them to get it where those frequencies disappear from the body due to better dental care. In fact, as a side point, have you ever heard about the people that can't even go to get their teeth cleaned if they have artificial hips or like heart valves that have been replaced with the pig valves or whatever? Anything like that, they have to take antibiotics before they can even get that done. Now, why? Because in the dental field, it's known that if they get their teeth worked on and they haven't taken the antibiotics, there is so much of this bacteria released into their system, and it has a tendency to migrate to those areas where they have had those implants or things done and cause some serious inflammation and some real problems. So right there in the dental field, you have a big clue that this bacteria is something that's not to be ignored. So one of the areas that we're going to go into first is it's been linked to an increased risk of cardiovascular disease, including the plaquing in the arteries. It also can play a big role in metabolic syndrome that can lead to diabetes and heart disease. So here's a really serious consideration when you're talking about this bacteria that's in the mouth. One point to make clear is you cannot always get all this bacteria out of the mouth just by brushing and flossing. And we'll talk about that a little bit more later. So here you have your heart view. And in your scanner, you've got more than one heart view. You would want to scan the 3 views of the heart, and then you would want to look at your report and look and see if you see any of that gingivalis or intermedius as a bacterium. And that would be something that you would want to pursue with the person with going to your homeoenergetics and running a bacteria DT, and also just talking to them and saying, tactfully telling them, one, you want to make sure that you're brushing and flossing correctly, but at the same time, there are other ways of managing this bacteria that you can't get to with brushing and flossing. Like I said, we'll go into that a little bit more later. Another thing that people don't think of sometimes is brushing the tongue, because a lot of times they brush the teeth really well and they floss between the teeth really well, but then the tongue is coated with a ton of that bacteria as well. So that's just an interesting side point to keep in mind when you're helping the people that you scan work on the oral health that's going to have a major impact on their body. So this bacteria can colonize, and it can increase in the brain, potentially encouraging amyloid plaque formation and affect the protein function that is a key feature of Alzheimer's. How important is that? How much have we heard of an increase of Alzheimer's dementia, and how could we help people, a percentage, by having them do better with the health of their mouth, their oral cavity, getting control of this bacteria and cutting down on the risk factor that may be coming from the mouth. So this is really important. Here again, you have many brain views in your scanner. When you see that you have 1s or 9s in the brain, there can be many causes that will show up in your scanner, everything from chiropractic to different heavy metals and whatever. But don't skip looking at the bacteria section to see if you have bacteria gingivalis or bacteria intermedius. This would be a clear indication that there are frequencies for that bacteria in the brain tissue, and you would want to take steps with the person that you are scanning to help them improve the oral health. Studies are also showing that gingivalis can aggravate inflammatory bowel disease by affecting the gut microbiome and the immune cell balance. Here again, how much have we learned on Wednesday night calls about the influence of the gut on the body? The fact that the gut makes neurotransmitters, the fact that the gut is the second brain, the fact that so much goes on in the large intestine as far as electrolytes, as far as vitamins being formed, as far as hydration of the body. All of these things can be affected if that bacteria gingivalis and bacteria intermedius is allowed to have an overgrowth in the mouth and then end up migrating to those different areas of the body. So here again, what do you want to look at? If you've got any 1s or 9s that are in the view with the close-up of the pancreas and the ducts that are in the gut, or if you have the whole view of digestive, whether it's in the PDF form like this or in your table version, you are going to want to make sure that you go to your report and see if under those body parts specific or in the term report, if there is that particular listing that needs to be addressed in the body. Here's another slide. Studies have also shown a link between the types of gingivalis and rheumatoid arthritis, RA, with the bacteria potentially contributing to the development of RA-related autoantibodies. So how many people do we have that are starting to complain that they have RA? Now, in your scanner, you're going to find other causes for the RA as well, but an underlying cause that could have been there for years could be that in their mouth, they have the bacteroides gingivalis and the bacteroides intermedius, and that has been migrating to the joints and is starting to cause problems not only in the joints themselves, but also with the whole immune system. So how important would it be to look for this? The bacterium has also been associated in studies with systemic conditions like oral and colorectal cancer. The colorectal, sorry, I'm not pronouncing it right, anyway, the cancer of the colon, and adverse pregnancy outcomes. Think of how serious that is. Now, even think of it from the standpoint of, what if somebody has a number of these things going on? You could have that bacterium, gingivalis and intermedius, contributing throughout the body to a number of different things that they have been labeled with as having a disease situation or be heading that way. And it's one of the factors that you can address that can have an impact frequency-wise on what's going on in the body by addressing it. So here's a study from the National Library of Medicine. Here's one of the additional things to brushing and flossing that can be done. And I want to read this quote. Oil pulling can be considered as an enlargement of standard oral hygiene techniques since it has the characteristics of an oral massage, enwrapping epithelial cells, carrying bacteria in oil vesicles, and reaching almost all unique habitats in oral cavity. Well, what is that saying? Saying that when you do oil pulling, that particular practice can get into all the nooks and crannies in the mouth and help to address this problem with the bacteria. Now, I don't know why I don't know who did it. I mean, it's been done in India for hundreds of years, but I don't know why they call it oil pulling, because it doesn't actually pull the bacteria out and it doesn't actually kill the bacteria, although it does help with fighting the bacteria. Here is a definition from Google as well. Coconut oil is known for its antimicrobial properties, including antibacterial, antiparasitic, and antifungal effects. These properties are largely attributed to the medium-chain fatty acids present in coconut oil, particularly lauric acid and capric acid. These fatty acids can disrupt the cell membranes of bacteria, fungi, and parasites, leading to cell death. So it's a function in relationship to these bacteria that ends up affecting them. However, oil pulling is highly effective with these different ones that you see in your report, because what happens is when you take the coconut oil, and which the coconut oil, by the way, sometimes people use sesame oil, different oils, but the coconut oil actually is known to be the most effective. They take it and swish it in the mouth. And a lot of the places online will say take a tablespoon and do it for 15 minutes. Quite frankly, with the people I've worked with, it's too much and it gets gaggy. I have found with everybody that if they take a teaspoon and do it for 5 minutes, then I tell them make sure you spit it out in the trash, not your sink, because the oil will harden in the pipes and you'll get some clogging in the pipes eventually. So putting it in the mouth and swishing it for 5 minutes and spitting it in the trash, what happens is it gets into all the places where that bacteria is, and the bacteria flees from it because it's antibacterial. And then it gets into the saliva, and then by spitting it into the trash, you're actually expelling the bacteria from the mouth. So doing a teaspoon for 5 minutes, repeating it 3 times, so it's a 15 minutes, and then possibly doing it a number of times a week. Some people, if they show up as having this in their reports in a lot of areas, you might want to tell them to do it every day for a while. But this can really help with the management of this particular bacteria. So I hope that has helped you some tonight to appreciate that the state of your mouth, the state of your oral health, the bacteria that is in the mouth, not only between the teeth with brushing and flossing, but also with doing the oil pulling. This can have a major impact on the frequencies that show up in the body, and managing those frequencies can be preventative from getting different conditions. And at the same time, if the conditions are already there, then taking up this practice of taking care of the mouth better in connection with this bacterium can also improve those conditions as well. So happy scanning, and look forward to talking to you again soon.
Thank you, Deb, for a great training. Again, as usual, helping us with mouth health.
Yes.
That is a mouthful.
Say that 5 times fast.
No, I won't, because it will be a blooper. And it won't even probably be cut. It would just be left right in. We just have to roll with it. All right, so what are we going to ask them to do? It's contest time.
Yes. We want to know, what is your favorite mouth-friendly habit or one you're excited to try?
Yes, and then what we're going to give away is AO Pearls.
AO Pearls.
Pearls, the essential oil-based pearl that you can pop or swallow, and you get the digestive health, you get the pop, you get the airway opening, and a really cool sensation all around.
You do. I love my pearls. Got them in my purse at all times. If you ever see me and you want to try one, I'll hook you up.
Yeah, good one. Get Rusher at Dave Discovery.
Oh yeah, maybe not there. Maybe not there. Have a great week, everyone.
Also, Deb, we're going to announce, oh no.